Hi there, I'm Clarence Waldron. Welcome back to Black Muse. Tonight's guests are business leaders Michael Bennett and Nathaniel Freeman. They are the owners of a new UPS store in Chatham. They are hoping to help revitalize the Chatham neighborhood to bring it back to its glory days. Now, by the way, their educational foundation is Morehouse College. Now, they have advanced degrees, but their foundation is Morehouse. So therefore, you know they're not playing around. They're not playing around. Let's get started. Hey, Nate. Hey, Mike.
Clarence.
Hey, how are you doing, Clarence?
All right. Let's start at the top with Michael. Tell us, how did this UPS store get started? I mean, where is it exactly? And is there a name or a number? Or just tell us the whole beginnings of this store.
Well, it's located in Chatham. It's located in the Chatham Marketplace on 83rd, right off the Dan Ryan Expressway going west. It's at 8301 South Holland Road, Suite C, which is right next to a dentist store and Planet Fitness. And so we opened up probably about a year and a half ago in June. And we have been doing pretty well and growing it significantly in the community. Let me back up. I got involved with UPS. My company does a lot of research and competitive insights for franchise organizations like McDonald's, Wendy's, UPS, as well as Choice Hotels, specifically to give them advice on where they should put their franchises in urban communities, or really in cities, top 10 city marketplaces. I've guided them to saying that they need to do things more in the urban community. McDonald's does it well, of course, but there are other organizations and franchisors that could be doing a lot more in urban communities in the 10 top markets like Atlanta, Chicago, New York, LA, Philadelphia, and Miami specifically. And so I had made a decision to open up a franchise with one of those organizations. And my decision was to open 5 to 10 of them over the next 10 years, specifically in those urban marketplaces. Chicago being, of course, the base, because that's where I'm from. That's where Nathaniel Freeman's from too, my business partner. And so with the ideal of bringing businesses that work really well into communities that have been underserved, and where there's a demand for the product. The business model is pretty solid. It's not rocket science. It's not a startup. And I only say that because for the past 25 years, I've been a product manager in technology for a lot of companies, and they've all been startups. And so it's nice to be working with the business plan that already had, a trend of growth and profitability within the industries that they, profess to be in. Prior to me working, opening this UPS store with Nathaniel, as a product manager for 25 years, I developed Travelocity.com, Global Vision for Citibank, a lot of technologies for enterprise companies and corporations. And I decided specifically during the pandemic, when I was sitting at home, which one of these franchises would actually work, in the environment that we were in 2019 and 2020, where everybody was working from home. UPS stores didn't actually close. They were needed. People utilized them, and it just made sense. Yeah. I'll let Nate go on and tell me why he did it. I don't know why sometimes.
Well, what do you hope to achieve in the Chatham area? Both of you. Nate, can you respond to that? What are you hoping to achieve in the Chatham area?
Okay, Clarence. Actually, I'm originally from Chatham. I grew up on 82nd Indiana, about a half a mile from where the store is located right now. And so, having been able to see the changes that have taken place within the community from the 70s to the present, we're hoping to help revitalize the community. One of the things that the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, used to talk about was the food deserts. Well, one of the things we also suffer in inner city communities, and particularly on the south side of the area that we chose, is an infrastructure desert. And by that I mean we, in deciding where to place the business, we were looking at several sites, and one of the reasons we decided on Chatham is because the community was underserved on the south side of Chicago. We're located basically about 300 West 83rd. The closest UPS prior to that were in Evergreen Park or in Hyde Park, meaning that residents of Chatham had to travel a significant distance to get basic services. And by basic services, we mean not only shipping, which is what UPS is known for, but a great majority of our business is simple things that people in other more privileged communities may take for granted, such as Amazon returns. And if you calculate the time and the cost at $5 a gallon that it would take residents to travel to make a simple return on purchases, that's a significant penalty. So that's one of the things we are hoping to address, as well as serve as a mini anchor, because we're not big enough to be considered an actual anchor, but a mini anchor within the community to help bring other businesses into the area.
Got it. Talk a little
And
bit.
additionally,
Please, go ahead, please. Yes.
I was going to say, and additionally, we wanted to bring jobs that are for the community in the communities that we service. Again, like I said, my objective is to build 5 to 10 more. And on the average, we employ anywhere between 1 and 6 people within these stores. And we always historically have talked about the dollar not going straight out of the community after it's been spent. But I did my own research and review, and that the dollars that are being produced by this particular store on 83rd Street actually circulate throughout the community 4 to 5 times, as opposed to one time normally. And so, increasing the community awareness about the power that they have and the choices they have about spending their money, as well as employing adults in the community to actually work, is really significant. And I think it's scalable not only in Chicago, but to those other 10 city markets. I don't think it's rocket science. I know it isn't. And so it's just like, there has to be a want to do it. And I've had to guide many corporations to understand that they have to want to do it in those areas and contribute back into those areas in a business model that's profitable. That's it.
And Clarence, if I can clarify, because I realize that your audience is not just Chicago based. When I mentioned the communities of Evergreen Park and Hyde Park, time wise, that would be a traveling distance of 20 to 30 minutes one way for those individuals trying to make returns or ship products. Chatham's also a demographic that has a lot of older people. So that's an additional burden, for them trying to do that. So, we get people coming in every day that, express their gratitude of having a store located in the community so that they can, do things in a more efficient and easier manner.
Got it.
Right.
Talk to me a little bit about Herman Roberts, the late Herman Roberts, because when we first heard about your store, Howard and I were talking about it. He said it sort of has a feel of a Herman Roberts influence. So talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, Herman Roberts, for those of you who don't know, is entrepreneur, one of the older original Black entrepreneurs on the South Side of Chicago. He was sort of like an uncle to me. My mother and him grew up together. My family actually was in business with him. This is my fourth business venture. I'm an attorney by trade, attorney, military, police, but we started out with 3 franchises on the South Side, 2 of which were associated with Herman Roberts, that being Roberts Motel and a bowling alley, which eventually became Freeman's Motel and Freeman's Bowl on 67th and King Drive on the South Side of Chicago. So I spent my summers growing up, and spent my youth growing up with Herman, and my summers with his kids on a ranch down in Oklahoma, Beggs, Oklahoma, which is where Herman was from. But he was a legend on the South Side, streets named after him over at 67th and King Drive, and just a mentor to Michael, myself, just a real presence in the Chicago community in the 1900s, in the South Side community.
Got it. Wow. Wow. Now, you guys are both Morehouse men. How has that educational foundation helped you today? Let's talk with Michael for a minute.
Well, I attended Morehouse 30 years ago, and 30, almost a little more than 30 years ago, 91 graduate. But I studied finance, and I always loved money, and I did pretty well at understanding the knowledge around money, because money is a tool that allows you to create things from ideation to development and to launching them. And so I started my career off at the Bank of New York. I was on Wall Street. I wanted to be a stockbroker on the international swaps team. And I did that after I graduated from Morehouse, and I actually hated it. And I left it and became a management consultant with another firm that took me around the world. And what I learned from that experience, one of my first assignments was living and working in London, England, as well as in Accra, Ghana, in West Africa. And it allowed me to really reach out and talk to entrepreneurs who own these manufacturing companies, pretty global manufacturing products. Specifically, in Ghana, they had palm oil is a very significant ingredient and product that's used throughout the country. It's very perishable. I worked with the CEO of one of the larger firms there to help him develop how he can ship his products via plane as opposed to train, so he can sell more of his products more globally and quickly, and get it to the actual consumer before they spoiled. And that spoilage was almost at a 60% rate prior to developing a strategy to do these things on the plane. And so all that to say is it allowed me to travel to countries throughout Africa and throughout Europe and really look at how do you distribute products globally to a particular client. And it gave me, once you're bitten by the bug, as they say internationally, I've worked and traveled to about 50 countries around the world, helping them develop their products from China to the US to Africa to the Middle East. And so going back to your original question, is Morehouse allowed me to have those opportunities to use your education, which is education gives you options to take you around the planet, understand it, and ultimately, hopefully you find what you really enjoy doing. And it goes back to this UPS store again, the fact that it goes to, we ship things to about 200 different countries. I have affinity for the planet. And when I used to travel, I would always see UPS stops. And I didn't think about it when I was 18 or 19 years old, when I was, after I graduated out of Morehouse. 21 or 22 when I got out of Morehouse, but it all came full circle to me personally. But all that to say, Morehouse finance, Dr. Williams, and a lot of pivotal professors there helped me grow my knowledge around finance. And it also allowed me to travel on to Clark Atlanta to get an MBA into Northwestern University to expand my education in media and in marketing. And so it's been a real a gift.
Okay, very good, very good. Nate, how about you? Talk about the Morehouse influence.
My journey to Morehouse is a little bit different, I think. I said I'm from Chatham, and I am from Chatham originally. My family left Chatham in fourth grade and moved to an area called Beverly Hills in Chicago. We were one of the first Black families back then, I want to say 72, 73. And I had the benefits of going to a wonderful school, Morgan Park Academy, which is private but majority white. I graduated in a class of 43. We had 8 Black students. So when it came time to choose a college, I sort of some shenanigans, which basically meant I wasn't turning in my applications to the places my dad wanted me to go to, Ivy League schools, West Point, and stuff like that. And eventually it came down to, well, I can still get into Morehouse, which is where all my best friends from Chatham were going. And I never regretted and never looked back. To any of you who have children out there, HBCUs, consider them. You have schools that are regional, that are national, and international. Morehouse is one of those that checks the actual international check block, because they are known all over the world because of the business department, as well as the Morehouse Glee Club, which travels around the world as ambassadors. And so for me, it was an excellent opportunity because it rounded out things that I missed in my life growing up in a majority white academic environment for high school, as well as my neighborhood. And so I can go back today and see professors that I know, and they are still there and remember me. If I need a recommendation, I can get on the phone and call people up. Earlier this year, I had a mishap where I injured my elbow, and my Morehouse brothers were right there, my frat brothers, remember Alpha Phi Alpha, were there for me. Were there for me, and contacted people to help me procure the surgery that I needed. And so it's those kind of ties that bind, that really set Morehouse apart from everybody else. If they're not to put down other schools, but as they say, when you go out and like Mike, I've traveled internationally. I was a JAG officer with the military. I've lived and worked in at least half a dozen countries around the world and visited, well over 2 dozen. And whenever they find out that, oh, you went to Morehouse, it's a light that goes off. And that's a resource that we within the community need to make sure that we support, both, in sending our best and our brightest there, as well as contributing back financially.
Cool. Now, what is that popular saying? You can always tell a Morehouse man, but you can't tell Morehouse man nothing.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I think you can always tell the Morehouse man, but you can't tell him much. I think that's where that quote comes from.
Yeah.
You can always tell. We're always listening.
Okay.
We'll always listen, and we'll give you a response to any question anybody else has. But it goes back to just having confidence and being able to speak on whatever subject matter you want to speak about. I'm a bit more renaissance. I'm not an expert at a lot of things, but I know a lot of stuff. I say, and so again, and then being from Chicago too. I forgot to mention that I am from Chicago originally. I went to Mount Carmel High School. I only went to private schools because of my parents. Specifically, were worried about me and the violence in public schools at the time, and all that to say is, one of my friends, I was going to Princeton University, and one of my best friends, Titus Allen, he bet me that I couldn't get into Morehouse, and I took him up on the challenge because we were competing with each other all the time, and I got accepted to Morehouse. in about a week after I applied, and it took him maybe a little longer to get his acceptance letter. And he was really angry about that, but we were we laugh about it now.
And Clarence, I'm gonna tell you the real reason why we both went there, because nobody else is listening. It's just the three of us, right? Nobody else could know about.
No, go ahead.
Spelman College.
Oh,
that's all I've got to say.
got it.
You know?
And I always like to ask our guests the same question. And I need to pose it to you two guys. Who inspired you? Who were your early childhood cheerleaders and all that kind of stuff?
I'll take that because it looks like Mike is frozen again.
Okay.
I'm going to say my parents. And again, that's not to say that there weren't other people. Obviously, Dr. King, but growing up in the time and the place that I was located, I was pretty much on an island. But I had the benefit of my parents showing me how to do things by example. My father was the first Black commander, military World War II, the first Black commander of the Army in Jackson Park on the south side of Chicago. And my mother ran the three businesses, and watching their hard work and their dedication to both the business and the family, they led by example. When I went to Morehouse and pledged and then, joined the military, people were like, that's supposed to be hard. It seems like it comes easy to you. And that's because of the work ethic they instilled in me that I didn't know they were instilling in me at the time. To do things by the book, not cut corners. Eventually you can get to that point. Sort of, to paraphrase Wynton Marsalis, when he was speaking about music and jazz, he's like, people want to come out and just do their own thing. And he said, that's fine, but make sure you know the basics first. Had that foundation first. And that's what my family gave me. And that's what Morehouse gave me.
Got it. Same question for Mike. Who inspired you?
It really was a combination of my parents and my grandparents, really. My grandparents were really significant, and they really gave back to the community and showed it. My grandmother was, she was the LSC, she was the school council president. She managed a lot of the Robert Taylor home properties, almost 6 different buildings, almost 4,000 families each week with whatever issue as a real estate developer and director of them. It also inspired me to study real estate and development of it while I was at Morehouse. My grandmother and my grandfather were huge influences of me. My father had 11 brothers and sisters. I grew up in a house full of a lot of people. I had a lot of cousins. I had more than 30 cousins. So most of my life, I didn't need friends. I had cousins who were all very close, and we're still very close. And so they inspired me to, pursue education and be the best person that you are going to be, whatever walk of life you decided to, or whatever profession you were interested in. They were always there, supporting, cheering, and still, even to this day, cheering on each other. And so my family, back to family is the foundation, of course. And we were, I was lucky to have such a loving growing up experience, which I didn't know was very unique until I, kind of went out into the world after college.
Hey, Clarence, if I can add real fast, I realized Mike didn't. I forgot to do it. My personal background. First of all, Nathaniel called me Nate. Morehouse undergrad. I originally was a pre-med major, biology minor. I graduated in a then first class of a real estate program. I am technically the first graduate from an HBCU from a real estate program. There were 2 of us in our graduating class. I was Freeman, he was Givens, so I beat him by one letter. I later went on to law school at Tulane University, environmental law, JAG officer in the Army for 13 years, City of Chicago, police investigations, Department of Corrections, and now coming back to all this stuff, back in Chatham and back to franchise in the South Side is, bringing it back full circle.
I love it. I love it. And anything else? Anything else you would like to share, Mike, Nate?
Hold on a second. I've got a note here that says Clarence Waldron says to say that Dionne Warwick is the greatest artist. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
He got jokes. He got bad jokes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mike. Anything else you want to share?
I think I've shared everything. Again, I grew. I've always gone to Catholic schools. I went to Holy Angels. I was a little angel. I went on to Mount Carmel High School, all guys school. Then I realized I wanted to be around. I thought I wanted to be, going to a school with more women at it. And then I had the opportunity to go to Spelman College and walk around and found that they were so close to Morehouse College. I said, this will do. And really smart, educated women and beautiful women that were, right across the street that inspired me to go to Morehouse. And then I left Morehouse and went on to UCLA to film school and producing film, as well as Northwestern, and continuing my studies in business. And, education is always going to be the foundation of everything that I do and moving forward. I had just great opportunities to just do the things that I want to do and do them well, hopefully. And I jokingly, people with younger people in particular, when I'm an instructor I'm a program leader and an adjunct professor at Northwestern University here at the Kellogg School now. And I tell them, I said, he said that you have all these dreams in college. I said, you pick one and you pursue it and you become whatever it is that you want to become. But if it doesn't work out, you can have another dream and do something else. And so many people get so caught up on this one dream. I said, you can have 5 dreams and, you live long enough, you can try them all out. Mm-hmm. So keep living and keep trying.
Clarence, I realize we're getting along in time, and I'm not sure what your time constraints are, but before we do that, I'd like to bring it back to the store a little bit.
Okay.
Before we get off, to make sure we get this in, to let people know, once again, our store location is 8301 South Holland Road. That's west off of the Dan Ryan Expressway in Chatham Mall. We're open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 7, Saturday, 9 to 5, Sunday, 10 to 3. Likewise, Mike and I were proud to be the first Blue Horizon UPS store to open in Chicago. That was their new format. We're no longer brown and tan. It's a blue and white format. We were the first store to open, first Blue Horizon store to open in the Chicago area. Right now, we're entering our peak season, so we encourage people to come in early to have their package shipped off so they can get there for the holidays. Right now, we're experiencing peak because people are sending packages to their loved ones in school for Thanksgiving care packages and everything else. And that will continue through the holidays for Christmas and then even somewhat post-holidays into January. So my advice to people, come in, we're here, we'll help you. If you have any questions, feel free to call us. But the most important thing is to try to get here early, because shipping times can be delayed because of weather or sheer volume of shipping, which we actually have no control over. To let people know, UPS store franchises are all independently owned. Michael and I are the owners. UPS shipping, which actually delivers and ships the package, is a totally separate company. We can assist people with that, but that's something that we have no control over as far as the actual shipping dates. The best thing we can do is get it in. We'll get it out that day. As long as you can get it in before 5 o'clock, we can usually get it out that day, and we'll do the best to make sure that you have a smooth and pleasurable experience at our establishment.
All right. That was very well said. That was very well said.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. One more thing. Phone number. Can't forget that. That's 773-952-7963. 773-952-7963.
As well as you can reach us at our website at UPS 7974 at ups.com 7974, and it'll tell you it'll list out all our services for you, from mailbox services to notary to shipping and handling.
All right. All right. Well, I thank you all for such a lively conversation. I really appreciate it. It took us a long time to get together, but we got together.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Before we close, I want to give a special shout out and thank you to Howard Sandifer, the producer of this show, and his wife, Darlene Sandifer. They are the founders of the Chicago West Community Music Center, and this whole podcast was their idea. They said, let's have lively conversation with newsmakers. I said, let's do it. Let's do it. So anyway, thank you for that. Please click like and subscribe to Black Muse. And that is all, and that is why. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.